And now you're doing 3 of the best. Ready to go for 3 hours?
Yeah, ready for 3 hours, mate. Had
Awesome.
the warm-up 1 hour. Let's go.
Awesome, mate. Let's start with you. It just was reported through the week on socials. Me and Brooksy were doing the run home when we were discussing the show for Saturday today. And the Parramatta Eels have announced that you have re-signed with the club. Give us the details with regards to how long you're staying for, and then some of the conversations you've had with incoming coach Jason Ryles.
Yeah, very excited to be sticking around for another 3 years. So I've signed on till the end of 27, so a 3-year deal, which is good. Gives me a bit of good security, especially coming off the ACL injury. Obviously, it's always a worry when you're playing and you pick up an injury. You're never too sure what's ahead. So very relieved, I guess, to have that sort of wrapped up. And around the conversations, Rylesy, haven't met him yet, but gave me a call just after my injury and sort of reassured me that, he saw me a part of his plans for the future there, which was exciting because, having spoke to him, I think he's got some good things coming in there. We've got some good processes coming and good coaches coming with him. So I'm pretty excited to be a part of the club's future. I know at the moment, obviously, it's not looking too good there at Para, but I'm pretty optimistic that, with Rylesy and the new staff he's got coming on, that we can do some good things in the future.
Yeah, for sure. And there's, a lot of the time when new coaches come in, I've been in this position myself where there's a whole lot of change. And you can talk about the negatives where there will be some change, for sure. But, geez, it must have been good considering you just come off the injury. That was when we first reached out and just started communicating as well. To have some assurances from Rylesy and then, get the deal locked in, because I'd imagine that you would have been having conversations before the injury and were very close to signing. So it shows a lot of faith in Parramatta, and not only just Rylesy, but Parramatta, the club, that everyone is stoked to have you there on board long term. Yeah,
for sure. Like I touched on before, it's probably the worst timing possible to get an injury when you're coming off contract. I remember actually having the conversations with my manager. I was starting to get a bit worried when you haven't sorted anything out for the next year. I say, mate, if I get injured here, we're gonna be in trouble. And then next thing you know, I've done my ACL, which is also worst case injury, long term, 9-month recovery. Clubs sort of see an ACL, and they tend to try and avoid players, coming off an ACL. So look, definitely wasn't ideal, but super grateful for the club, like you said, showing a bit of faith in me and awarded me a 3-year deal, which is good for me. It's good security, like I said, and it's a club that I've been at for a few years now, and I want to have some success there. I want to win a comp, and like I said, with Rylesy coming in, we've still got a great squad. We've got some great players there, and I feel like, we're not too far away from success, even though right now it doesn't look like it. I think if we can get some troops from the park next year and, get stuck into it, who knows? You've
clearly got a talented roster.
Yeah.
And there will be some tweaking. Like I said, that's the negative part about when a new coach comes in. You've got positive stories like yourself, and there will be perceived negative anyway in the short term, because that's just, I've been there, like I said. Talk to us a little bit about the management conversation that you had with sometimes I want to give the listener a bit of a unique look into when you are negotiating, and like you would have said before, you probably would have been pretty confident that you were going to sign at Parramatta.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, the manager starts throwing different teams at you and trying to increase the price. But for the most part, just us as players, especially when you're in that last year, you're going, I want to get it done. Let's get it signed. And then you get injured, and then you go to your manager, come on, man, you better not have stuffed this up for us.
You pretty much just, I'm laughing because you pretty much just said exactly what's happened. So my manager, honestly, when you're that final year, it can be stressful, and they're selling the dream as they do. Oh, mate, just, play X amount of games and, we'll start string some good games together. And you go, and that's all well and good, but what if I get injured? Like I said before, which I was saying to him.
And you were playing really well too.
Yeah, it was frustrating because I felt like I did find some good form, and there was some conversations opening up with Para and with a few other teams, and I was in a good spot there where I was looking like I was going to get a deal sorted, and then bang, one game, do my ACL. Few teams drop off, head starts going. Managers on the blow every day to him, what's doing. But it can be a real tense time. There's no denying that. It's our job. You want to play for your families. You want to secure a deal so you can, where you're going to be living. Yep. That's another factor is you don't know.
Yeah, that's huge, right?
You could be moving somewhere else, interstate, overseas. So there's a lot of factors that play into it. For me, I was settled in Sydney with my family here, and that's where I wanted to be. So, Luckily enough, we were able to get a deal done with Para, but yeah, it was definitely a tense time, and there was some worrying days, but it all worked out in the end.
What about the rehab process now? Let's talk we have players talk about how strenuous and lonely rehab can be. Do you have a good crew in rehab? Do you have anyone similar to, because I was explaining this to Brooksy before. Brooksy, by the way, welcome, Brooksy.
Good morning, gents.
Let's
Good
get in
morning,
for an
Bailey.
early touch.
Gee.
Good to have you back.
I was speaking to Brooksy before, mate, about how people don't realise how lonely it can be in there. And, like, Mitch is a great example. He's injured now as well at the moment. But you might not necessarily be spending a whole heap of time with him because he's got a different injury or got a different status in the team.
Definitely a different status to me, old Moe. My rehab personally, it's been tracking well. My knee's coming along really well. Been in there every day, doing my rehab, doing my physio. Like you said, it can be quite a lonely time because you're excluded from the team. You're on a completely different schedule and different time frame to when the boys are training. But luckily for me and the other injured boys, and probably not unluckily for the club, there's a lot of us in there. There's myself, Mitch, Junior Paulo, Jermaine Hopgood.
Oh, you and Junior would be doing similar training programs, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
at the moment?
Me and Junior are similar programs. So we're in there doing our weights together and our feet together. So yeah, there's a big group of us, which, like I said, it's not good for the club, but it's good in the sense of the injured boys can help each other through. Yeah, we're just working away behind the scenes, spending time together, going for coffees.
Nice.
Trying to keep each other busy and keep your mind off the injury. Sometimes it can get dark in there. So
how's Big June's going? Good?
June's is good, mate. Yeah, he's coming off that Liz Frank injury, so he's working hard to get himself fit and ready for next year. And yeah, he's a legend, Junes.
Any questions for Brooksy Bailey before we move on and start getting into the show, mate?
Yeah, you were just talking about the rehab process and the group that you're with. There's some talented players there. Do you feel like you're a bit selfish there, that you can go and speak to Mitch and form that combination with your half in this time? Like, I think in the rigours of the NRL, it might be hard to have those conversations day in, day out. You've got your wider squad and coaching staff wanting to chat to Mitch. Have you been picking his brain and sort of working on some things you can work on for 2025?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Mitch is such a footy head. Like, he loves watching footy. Whenever there's a game on, he's in the shed watching footy on his phone. And when you listen to him, he's got such a smart footy brain. The things he says and the things he sees on the field, which a lot of players just don't pick up on. So I think definitely having chats with him just in and around footy games, you can sort of learn off him things he's seeing, different pictures he's seeing, what he likes from outside backs running off their halves, kick shape, run shape. He's like I said, he's so smart around that footy now. And we've had a few conversations around things, but it's probably waiting for him to turn up.
I love that. And don't worry, I've been there before in teams, most notably the great and powerful Brett Stewart. He had his own rehab group and rehab program compared to everyone else.
I do joke. He's actually in there a lot, Mitch.
Well, just quickly, or just before we finish on Mitch, because we're going to start talking about another huge number 7 in our game. How was he? It was a bittersweet moment for him. You know, he gets injured game 3, gets that series. What was his energy in like coming back from pre-2024 Origin series, Mitch, with frustrations, being injured at the start of the year, to arguably etching his name in Origin folklore with the performances that he had in Game 2 and Game 3?
Yeah, I mean, for anyone that's a competitor, and everyone playing NRL, everyone's so competitive, everyone wants to win. So it can get really frustrating, I think, especially with the performances we were having. And like you touched on with our roster, we definitely were underperforming and not where we thought we would be, and definitely not where we wanted to be. So I think for someone like Mitch, who's the heart and soul of our team, he's such a competitor, he's our halfback, our leader. For him, I guess, seeing where we were sitting and how we were playing, it's just frustrating for him that we weren't where we should have been. So I think that Origin period, it was good for him. He got to go away. He had some success there. Obviously, we all saw how well he played and what he was able to do for the Blues in that series was just unbelievable. So, yeah, exciting for him. But then, you know, on the same token, he's obviously ruptured his bicep in that last game. So a frustrating finish for him. But he'll be back better next year.
I was watching the game last night, Bailey, and, you know, for fans, I was looking at through a fan's lens. I'm a Dragons fan, but I was watching it. I'm always keen for an upset. So I was sort of riding the game with the Eels fans. That's exactly right, Scope.
That's my upset alert too, by the way, Bailey.
Yeah. sorry, Brooks. No, it's all right. You know, it's been a disappointing season, 16th at the moment, you know, and I think fans, they're riding these losses. Some of them have been quite close.
Yeah.
But you've got to look, there's got to be excitement in the team. You've got a new coach in Jason Ryles who's been sought after for the last few years, who's played his trade at two great clubs in the Storm and the Roosters. You got arguably one of the best players in Origin, Zach Lomax, coming to the club next year.
Yeah.
You've got all these guys that you mentioned off the field with Moses, Jermaine Hopgood, who got a taste of Origin this year, Junior Paulo, who's had representative career that's extended back, half a decade. There must be, even though you're going through this season and, you want to take it game by game, there must be some excitement within the squad at the club about what's going to happen in 2025.
I'll intercept that ever so quickly because we've said this before, Brooksy. This is the best, I think, roster that a coach has gone into in the last 3 or 4 years. The best 16th place team anyway, roster.
Yeah.
Consider this to see where you guys are and just jumping off the back of what Brooksy said there. He's got a lot. Jason Ryles has got a lot in front of him. There's a good roster there.
Yeah, I think definitely. Like the names you just touched on, Brooksy, we've got Zach Lomax coming to the club, who I thought was probably the best outside back in the whole Origin series. He's had an outstanding year. Probably be in line for a winger of the year, and mate, he's been on fire and incredible what he's done this year. So that's a massive coup for us. Players like Mitch, Jermaine, Junior that you touched on, sitting in rehab at the moment, get them all back. They're all world-class players. So for someone like Ryles to come in, I think it's a perfect roster to come work with for your first coaching gig, and we'll all definitely get around him and the standards he wants to drive at the club. And it's about just working